So let's go and start with this one.
Iran.
This is the major Iran news of the, of the last day, basically. So we kind of went over it a little bit yesterday. That there was a downed F-15. Iran took out yet another one of our, multi-million-dollar aircrafts that are supposed to be top of the line with their duct tape and bubblegum aircraft defense system. So yeah, definitely, I'm sure all of my tax dollars are being used 100% efficiently when it comes to these, when it comes to these machineries of death that we create. But anyway, this is just a video to go over, I would assume, some of the last maybe 24 hours of stuff that I missed. It's an 8-minute video by BBC News. It's called U.S. Continues Search for Missing Crew Member from Down Jet as Iran Offers Capture Reward, which I'm sure that they definitely want to capture the person. I would guess that they probably will eventually if he's not already dead. Like, he might already be dead too. That's another option as well, is that he maybe didn't, like, he might have landed somewhere that was like not good. Like, he maybe got stuck somewhere. He maybe came across some people who, were like freaked out by him and shot him or something. Like, there's all kinds of ways that he could already be dead. But I also assure you that if America gets the chance, they're going to initiate our own version of the Hannibal Directive and just kill him ourselves too. I mean, if they can't save him, but we're probably not quite as brutal to our military people as like Israel is to theirs if they get caught. But yeah, I don't know. There's definitely a chance that we're going to end up just killing him so we don't have to deal with the consequences of Iran having a hostage. But okay, let's go ahead and watch this video. Enough rambling.
Iran and the US are racing to find the missing crew member of a downed American fighter jet. Tehran says it shot down the F-15 over the southwest of the country and that soldiers are searching the area. US officials have told the BBC's partner network, CBS News, that the other person in the aircraft has been rescued. Iran's state media reports that the country's air defense system shot down a second US aircraft, which crashed in the Gulf. Let's get the latest now from our correspondent in Washington, Tom Bateman.
US search helicopters prowl the skies over southern Iran, now in a deadly race to find America's missing airmen. Iranian state TV showing pictures of what it says is the wreckage of the downed US fighter plane. The Iranians claim it was shot down by an air defense system as it flew over a rugged province in southwestern Iran. Pictures on...
Yeah, again, I have to ask, I thought we had complete air superiority. I thought we had air dominance. This is just showing like how... This is kind of like showing just how much propaganda our administration is trying to spew out, because they've claimed, yeah, that we can just loiter at will above the Iranian skies and not face any consequences because we've completely destroyed all of their air defenses. And it's just like, I don't know, this is just completely proving that not to be the case. I think this will be a pretty big this will potentially change some people's minds. The people who buy into American propaganda or whatever, like, very heavily, this might be one of those moments where people are like, wait, are we actually winning? And it might change some polling, but I don't know for sure. Americans are cattle by and large, so they tend to just go along with whatever they're told. But sometimes this sort of stuff can puncture that.
Social media purport to show one of the two ejector seats. These images are as yet unverified, but appear to be consistent with parts of an F-15 fighter jet. US officials say they launched a combat rescue mission under fire, finding one of the F-15 crew, its pilot. But the recovery helicopter was hit by gunfire, injuring crew members.
The recovery helicopter was... What? Did they down a helicopter too? I guess they didn't down it. Maybe they just... Because the next video I had was going to go over this, but the video is said helicopter rescue team wounded by enemy fire. So I guess maybe they got one of them too. So that's also another huge, propaganda victory for Iran. So
Pictures appear to show men in a field opening fire on American Pavehawk helicopters used in search operations. Another plane
It's crazy, just a couple bullets and like just firing from the ground at these, like, yeah, that's kind of insane. If they actually injured somebody, that's crazy.
involved was also hit. An A-10 Warthog like this, its pilot ejected over the Gulf and was rescued. Meanwhile, Iranian government messages have been broadcast calling on residents to join a hunt for the pilots, offering a bounty for their capture. This is the F-15E Strike Eagle, one of America's most advanced fighter planes. It's used for bombing raids and to shoot down drones. Behind the pilot is a weapons systems officer. Shown here at RAF Lakenheath in Suffolk, Iran's military claims the downed plane was from the Lakenheath squadron, but the BBC has not confirmed this. This former F-15 pilot says the missing crew member will have been equipped for survival. Once they're on the ground there, what's going to be going through their minds?
First thing is, how do I get myself away from where it is that I am? And then how do I make contact with friendly forces to get myself back into friendly hands?
The White House says President Trump has been...
Each one of these F-15s, by the way, is $90 to $100 million. So, you know, that's real fun. And each of the drones and stuff that they use are like, I don't know exactly how much their air defense missiles cost or whatever. But yeah, each of their drones are like $10,000. So it's like, you know, yeah, this is definitely maintainable. For sure. 100%.
Been briefed. He said nothing publicly about the rescue operation, posting only on social media about Iran. Keep the oil, anyone? US Central Command released pictures of what it called its undeniable progress, saying Iran's air defense systems had been largely destroyed. But its claims to have free reign over Iran's skies will ring hollow, with the first known loss of a manned US aircraft there since the start of the war, and a perilous search behind Iranian lines. The fate of the missing crew member could determine the direction of this conflict, already unpopular with Americans, overseen by a leader looking for ways to end it. Tom Bateman, BBC News, Washington.
While President Trump refused to discuss details.
Well, we also know that Donald Trump loves to create a bunch of problems and then treat like the solution, like treat going back to the status quo before he created all of the problems as like a victory. So maybe this is just some like elaborate plot of like, oh, yeah, we intentionally lost a couple or lost a service member over there, and then we're going to find the service member and then you know, like save them and then be like, see, we solved it, the war is over, we accomplished our objectives or whatever. Maybe that's the plan. I don't know anymore
Of the search and rescue operation, but said the day's events would not affect any negotiations with Iran. Our correspondent Simi Jola Osho in Washington has sent us this report.
We are told President Trump's national security team spent Thursday in the West Wing of the White House providing him with updates on the initial search and rescue operation. Now, President Trump wouldn't comment to the media specifically on the operation, but when asked whether this would affect negotiations with Iran, he said he didn't expect it to. When asked what his response would be if this crew member was found harmed, he simply said he hoped that wouldn't be the case. Now, this all comes after President Trump claimed that Iran's air defenses were weakened and said that Iran couldn't do a thing about US aircraft operating in its territory. Now we're hearing that Iran's Revolutionary Guard have sealed off a huge area and is conducting a search using troops and locals to try and find this missing crew member. This has become a high stake.
I would also say that, like, I mean, I'm sure that Iran wants them alive, but if the wrong people, like, because the Iranian like civilians and like citizens who might be partaking in this like this search effort probably hate, you know, Americans fucking guts, you know, like it would be, I think, like there's a possibility that they would just kill him on site, especially if they weren't like officially, like if they were just random people who showed up instead of like officially like licensed by the IRGC to go search for them or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. So there's always that like it's possible that he's already dead, to be honest, but who knows? We'll find out more as time goes on.
Search on the ground between the two adversaries for this missing American service member.
Simi Jola Osho in Washington for us. Let's bring you some of the day's other main developments in the Middle East now. And Iranian missiles hit residential areas in parts of central Israel in the early hours of Saturday. Israel's military says it's conducting strikes on Lebanon's capital, Beirut. The IDF says the strikes are targeting Hezbollah infrastructure sites.
Yeah, right.
Elsewhere, heavy explosions.
It's all civilian shit. We know Israel's like game plan now. They just, their goal is not to defeat Hezbollah. Their goal is to kill as many civilians as they possibly can. That's their goal, and then steal the territory. So yeah, that's silly. That's silly. And these networks need to stop repeating that like uncritically. They need to be like notorious liars and civilian and infant killers. The Israeli occupation forces has said that they are definitely only targeting Hezbollah infrastructure in Beirut. This is probably a lie, considering they lie more than anybody else in the history of the world has ever lied. Like, that's how you could do objective reporting on this issue. It's like, I don't know. It's so funny to me that they're just not able to tell the truth, because they have to, it's like they want to appear impartial, but because it's such like, there is no impartiality when it comes to genocide and war crimes, that it just makes them seem so laughably unbelievable the way that they report it, and like lose all of their trust and respect by reporting it that way. So I don't know, that's one thing that's so striking to me is in the modern day, is that like, because you have to feel it's almost like they think they'll get more credibility if they remain impartial, but when it comes to things like this, if you remain impartial, like in the face of reality, when reality is like partial to one side, aka being against genocide or whatever, or like, like the reality of genocide, like you just come off as completely biased and stuff. So whatever.
Have been reported in the Iranian capital, Tehran. Fighter jets have also been heard in the sky. And Bahrain urged residents to seek shelter, with sirens sounding right across the country as Iran continues attacking Gulf states. As the US-Israel conflict with Iran intensifies, unrest is spreading across the region. President Trump is warning Iran of greater destruction unless it does what it knows it has to do. Now, legal experts.
Oh, wow, what a surprise. Is he threatening to rain fire and fury on them again? Is he going to send them back to the Stone Age again? Is he going to they'll make them regret everything that they've ever done again? Like, what's the threat this time? I mean, at this point, does anyone ever actually believe what he's saying? Like that he's going to fucking do anything? He's not going to do jack shit, dude. Like they may do a ground operation at some point. That's the only escalatory option at this point, if they're going to try to escalate. Everything else is just more of the same. Like it's no different than what we're already doing. So there's no threat there. It's a blatant, like, who cares? Like, I don't know. That's ridiculous.
Experts have issued an open letter raising concerns about possible violations by all sides. Our correspondent Lorna Gordon is in Dubai and explains what the letter said. And just apologies, it's Joel Gunter for us in Jerusalem about to report.
This is now the very big issue in the region, that this F-15 fighter jet was downed over Iran. It was less than a week ago that the US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth was boasting that the US had achieved such air superiority over Iran and degraded Iran.
Hey, do you remember what I was saying back then? If you were technically clayhead out there, a claytriot, you heard me saying that is bullshit. That there's no way to degrade everything 100%. It's impossible. There's literally no way to do it. So it was always just a matter of time before this happened. And again, it'll be just a matter of time until it happens again. It's like, because it's impossible, I'm going to repeat again, impossible to 100% degrade like an enemy in its military capacity. You can get 90%, you can maybe get 95%. It's impossible to do it 100%, especially like without ground forces. Maybe if you did a full occupation and you occupied the entire country of Iran, then you could fully degrade it. But until you do that, there's literally no way. It's impossible.
Iran's air defenses so badly that they could fly heavy, slow-moving bombers like the B-52 without concern. Now, just a few days later, we have this jet being downed. We have one member of the crew who's been rescued, but one still unaccounted for. And as you heard there from our colleagues in DC, the IRGC, the Iranian forces have sealed off a large area and are searching for the pilot. The stakes are now very high. President Trump has said he believes it won't affect negotiations. He refused to comment on how the US might respond to the pilot being captured. But this is already a very unpopular conflict in some ways. There is no clear sense of a way out. As you mentioned, in the region, there are still very heavy strikes going on almost in all directions. We've had some in Israel this morning, which wounded a man in the center of the country. So if this pilot, if this member of the aircrew is captured, it does significantly, potentially raise the stakes for the US.
Yeah. And, keep in mind, all of you Gulf states in Israel and America, Iran said originally they were going to keep this up until November. So, still got like 7 months that you got to keep doing this. Okay. I'm just saying, if what they said is true, if they are going to keep it up for that long, I don't necessarily know if they're going to actually keep it up that long, but I do think they're going to keep it up for like, maybe another month or two. And that's like assuming, there's no actual, ground invasion, because if there's a ground invasion, then this is going to bleed on for decades, so like this conflict is going to bleed on for decades. But which honestly I think is probably the most likely outcome, just because of the nature of American imperialism is they generally don't know how to actually de-escalate in a normal way, like with a negotiation with a country based on like the actual military outcomes of like what is going on. It's the same thing that happened in Russia, man, or Russia-Ukraine. Like the American military machine like does not understand like when you have a strategic, like when you actually have a victory scenario, or like a way out of a war, like when Ukraine pushed back Russia, like in that initial reversal near the beginning of the war, I think it was, I can't remember exactly when it was, but and Ukraine had the best bargaining position that they ever had. And we on the left were all saying, okay, now's the time to negotiate peace. Like these are the best conditions that you are going to possibly get for peace. Like do it. Now's the time. And then all of the neoliberals, all of the neocons were out there saying, no, now's the time to keep pushing. We have to keep, how dare you? Ukraine is going to keep pushing, and it's actually going to even take some of Russian territory. Like that was the shit that they were saying. And it's because the American imperialist machine literally just has no way of actually recognizing potential, like a win when they see it, right? And so recognizing that you need to actually negotiate with your enemies as like equals if you want to actually get out of this war or whatever. And so because of that, I don't foresee this going any other direction other than more escalation, more ground troops, all that sort of stuff. But who knows, we'll see.
And Joe,
I guess it is, let's see, they didn't do it yesterday, so they're either going to do it today or we'll wait another week, people, because we have to wait until markets close. So that's the absurd world that we live in. So let's all pray to the markets. Everybody get out your rain sticks, go out and do your rain dance or whatever for the markets, the market dance. Go out there and do the market dance and pray to the markets that we do not that we do not go to war with Iran today. That's what I'm going to do later, okay? And you all better do it too. We all must all hail the markets. We all pray to the markets that we will not be sending in ground troops. Okay, everybody?
Joel, as you've been talking there, this sense of how the mood is changing right across the region, do you think what's happened in the last 24 hours may change the way the US and Israel go forward in terms of trying to end this war as quickly as possible?
Well, it's been clear for a little while. There have been signs that President Trump is keen for a quick exit. You know, he said this past week that he thought the US would withdraw from this conflict within 2 to 3 weeks. Israeli defense officials here have said that they believe that their military objectives against Iran are almost complete. But in the same sentence, almost, President Trump will say his plan is to bomb Iran back to the Stone Ages. There have been continued strikes now moving on to critical infrastructure, including civilian infrastructure. Those strikes are ongoing. We had the Passover holiday in the past few days in Israel, normally a time of joy and celebration, but continued volleys of Iranian ballistic missiles coming through into Israel, wounding more than a dozen people, some critically. So I can't say there's really a sense.
That means at least one person died. A dozen people, yeah, 1 to 10 ratio, everybody. One person died then, probably.
Here in the region that there is a definitive or reasonable plan for the end of this conflict. Here in Israel, here in other parts of the region, Iran, certainly in southern Lebanon and in the Gulf, it feels very much alive.
Yeah, Israel wants America to do a ground invasion, right? That's like what Israel wants more than anything. They want a full occupation of Iran, so that America sends all of their people into the meat grinder and they don't have to do anything about it. And they get the destabilization of Iran as a part of that. Like that's probably what Israel wants. And they might get it. They might get what they want. We might, send all of our troops in. It'll be a bloodbath. We'll lose probably tens of thousands, I would say, honestly. Like, because we lost thousands in Iraq, I think, right? This is going to be like 100 times harder, with 100 times stronger of a military that we're going against. So we'll probably lose like tens of thousands of people. I don't know if it'll be successful at all. And I assure you that immediately after we withdraw in like 20 years or whatever, the IRGC will immediately take over again. So like that may be what happens. I don't know. I think the worst thing for Israel would be for us to just unilaterally withdraw. Because then Iran is going to keep lobbing missiles for the foreseeable future at both the Gulf states and Israel, and they will strategically have a complete and total chokehold on the Strait of Hormuz, and then they would then start negotiating peace and treaties with the Gulf states first, and then finally Israel might have to agree to some sort of like peace or treaty with Iran, because they won't be able to keep this up indefinitely. They'll run out of missile interceptors. Their economy will start to tank. Like their people will start to be like, they're little Westerners. They'll start to get pissed off at the inconvenience of war, even if they are bloodthirsty. And eventually they would have to negotiate a peace, essentially cementing Iran as the regional hegemon. So that's kind of like the other option that's out there. I don't really know exactly what's going to go on, but I'm leaning towards a full military occupation. That's kind of where, like, I think it's more likely than not that that's going to happen. But